Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the June 10th, 2014 Richland Board of Trustees to order. Thank you for being here. The board just returned from executive session discussing a number of matters. Thank you for coming out this evening. At this time, we're going to stand and have an inspirational moment from Mrs. Susan Brill, and following that will be our Pledge of Allegiance.
This is a poem by a philosopher and a poet that I've always enjoyed. He's a Lebanese American, and it goes like this. And I kind of was thinking about this because we just got through graduation, and so these are thoughts about our children. Your children are not your children, they are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may, I can't say that word, their bodies. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. Pledge allegiance to the flag,
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Brill. Next on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Chair will entertain a motion. Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Spector. Any discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote.
It's not coming out.
That motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion. Moved by Ms. Anderson, approve the consent agenda. Second. Second by Mr. Manning. Any further discussion? Ms. Anderson.
Dr. Ham, you said that correction of one that was done. I didn't get you, but it was done. Take it.
Also, board recognize that in the consent agenda is the budget update, and here's where certainly you read and saw Dr. Miley's information regarding the status of the 2015 budget that the past second meeting with the County Council on last week. No further discussion. We're ready to vote.
Mine hasn't come up. I vote yes. Sure.
Apologize to the public tonight. Apparently we're having some connectivity issues here. So we apologize for that. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is public participation, but before we do that, the chair would like to recognize Boy Scout Troop number 737 that's here with us tonight attending our board meeting. We're very happy to have you young men here with us, and they meet at Radiant Life Church. Their scout leaders are Bruce Holmes and Don, is it Gillette? I think I'm saying that correctly. They're here working on their Citizenship Merit Badge and seeing how citizenship operates. The Citizenship Merit Badge will go towards their Eagle Scout designation. So, young Boy Scout Troop number 737, would you stand up, please, and let us recognize you being here tonight? While you're standing, very quickly, just give us your names real quick, starting with the young man standing here. Speak up. Thank you very much, young man.
Thank you.
Next is our public participation, and tonight we have one individual who has signed up, Reverend Dr. Kevin Donaldson. If you would come up to the podium and share your thoughts. As you come up to the podium, Dr. Donaldson, be aware that you have 3 minutes, and the clock will indicate when your time has expired. If you would restate your name for the record, we'd appreciate it.
My name is Reverend Dr. Kevin Donaldson. I am currently the SIC chair at Kelly Mill Middle School. And I just wanted to come today on behalf of the parents of Kelly Mill to voice our concern about the turnover of rate of principals at Kelly Mill. As I spoke with Dr. Ham, we truly enjoyed Mr. Timoni this year, and we hate to see him go. And we understand that a move like that is understandable. But as we move forward as parents at Kelly Mill, it's our desire that this board would take serious Kelly Mill as you move forward and think about the long-term growth of Kelly Mill. I have an upcoming eighth grader who will be now having her third principal in 3 years. I have a sixth grader who will start this year. I don't want to happen to him the same thing that happened to her. So as you all make your decision, I would ask that the stakeholders at Kelly Mill would have some say in your decision, that parents, SIC, others would have a say in the decisions that you make as we move forward. Kelly Mill has a perception problem. It is our goal to alleviate that. And so whoever the next principal is will do a big job in making sure that perception is alleviated at Kelly Mill as we move forward as a school. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much. Well said.
Mr. Chair,
Anderson.
could I ask that he give the administration, not now, but send the administration so it share it with the board, what the perceptions are that he's referring to?
Thank you, Ms.
I
Anderson.
have no idea what that is about.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. No one else has signed up, but however, if there's anyone in the audience who would like to come and address the board, you can do so at this time. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the voting on the executive session items. The chair will entertain a motion. Dr. Elkins Johnson.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for student number 1, we're going to pull out. Student number 2, return to school on strict probation. Student number 3, return to school on strict probation. Student number 4, return to school on strict probation. Student number 5, uphold the appeal. Student number 6, deny the appeal and refer to the IEP team. Student number 7, deny the appeal and refer to Blythewood Academy.
Heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Fleming. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Chair will entertain a motion on student number 1.
Student number 1, Mr. Chair, would like to deny the appeal.
Is there a second? Chair will second it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. Okay, the motion fails 6-1. We'll now need another motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we return the student to school on strict probation and refer to low rate act.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Anderson, the student be returned to school, strict probation and the rate act, and second by Mr. Manning. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. Okay, the motion passes 6-1. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is under old business, no action requested. Facilities improvement report, Dr. Ham.
Mr. Carter will be making the report.
Ladies and gentlemen, we provided you an update in your packet this week, but I'd like to highlight a few things. As you see, the batting cages were actually advertised on the 1st of June. The bid is due to be open on the 12th. Construction on those 2 batting cages will begin right after that. The storage building was advertised on the 8th of June, storage buildings, and there's a mandatory construction walk on the 12th, and construction will then, the bids will come in after that. We'll do on the 19th, I'm sorry. The backstop for softball, the demo is complete. All the old backstop is down, and they'll start pouring the footers for the new wall back there, and then they'll put in the post and the netting. Go down to the tennis courts. We had problems with the contractor. He wouldn't return our calls. When he finally returned our calls, he told us he was behind schedule and could not guarantee that he'd get the courts done. It's actually 3 sets of courts being done. So we terminated him on Friday morning. The second contractor said he will start on the 23rd of June and complete all 3 sets of courts. That's 3 different schools before school starts back in. The lighting upgrade to the Kate Labs, quarterly contracting is going to go in on the 16th of June, and that should take about 2 weeks. And we actually slipped the parking lot date from the 16th to the 23rd to avoid a conflict with the work that's being done on the cooling tower. Those are some of the highlights. I would just add, although it's not Ridgeview related, the lighting in the R&E gym and the practice field lights in R&E, which were part of phase 3 in R&E, the bids will be open on the 12th of June. 12th of June will be a busy day.
Chair.
And I'll be glad to answer.
Mr. Manning.
I just, for the public, because I'm not sure if we said it, if we did, I missed it, that these are what we're doing at Ridgeview High School.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure the public knew
I'm sorry, I
which
thought I-
facility we were talking about.
Thank you, Ms. Manning. Other questions or comments on the board?
Mr. Chair, I have one
Ms. Spector.
question. Jack, do you remember what year that we had the tennis courts resurfaced? Because that was the same time Spring Valley had theirs.
Right.
We were all done at the same time, right?
Actually, Spring Valley's was done later because when we redid the Spring Valley construction, we had to relocate the courts. So the 3 oldest sets of courts were, actually Ridgeview was the very first one we resurfaced and the first one we lit. And then Arnie was right behind them, and then Blythewood was opened up. So Blythewood's right at 10 years old, and the other 2 are in that same general area. So we're going to do those 3 this summer. The other 2 schools, obviously Westwood's new.
Much all of them are having be resurfaced. Okay.
Other questions, comments from the board?
Has this been shared with the SIC?
It has been shared with the principal. I have not shared it directly with the SIC. The principal knows this.
And we have an agreement with the SIC and members of the legislative delegation and others who are at the meeting that we attended, that once we make it public with the board, that we would send this information to them.
Okay, thank you, Dr.
Jack, on the artificial turf, are we getting, it simply says it may be a good solution in a long-term solution, but are we pursuing getting quotes on that to look at what it's going to cost so it can be a little more finite than just a long-term solution?
We met with a company called Medallion Sports. They're an installer. They represent 3 or 4 different products, from a Mondo product to a Shaw carpet product, and I forgot the third one that they rep. They have just done some fields locally. They did Airport in BC. They've done one. They're about to do the other, and I can't tell you for sure again which the sequence was. It's about $650,000 for what we would need, which is basically everything inside the track. You can add another $100,000 to that and put a cool product on it. It makes it a little cooler to the touch. We'll have to evaluate that as we go through the process, but that 650 is a pretty solid number.
And so then where would it fall in the projected timeline then if it was to be factored into this? Where would it then, are we talking that's going to become another one of those under the 10-year facility plan? Dr. Hamm and I have talked. The school is going to work on reordering with their SIC their priorities. Once we do that, we'll sit down and try to come up with a proposed schedule and a proposed funding source, and then we would bring that back to the board. It could be potentially done before then. It could be part of a 10-year plan. How many practice fields do they have?
At Ridgeview? Depending on how you count it, 2 in the fall. One of them is difficult to get to because it's down by Rice Creek. The band practice field is used for the band in the fall, but then in the spring it's used by lacrosse. They've got the same number of practice fields as most people have. This just one is very difficult to get to. It's just not very user friendly.
Would we consider maybe getting an estimate on lighting more than just one of the practice fields? I guess it's under the near-term list. The third bullet on the near-term list says lighting for at least one practice field. I'd like to see us get an estimate for the cost for lighting all of the practice fields, particularly the band one that they use, as well as the other, because they're often out there late. So we can get an estimate for more than just one field for all of them.
I know what it would cost. The band practice field is a little more problematic because of its close proximity to the Highlands.
Right.
When we first put that field up there, we met with the Highlands Homeowners Association. Promised them we wouldn't light the fields, but that's been a while ago. So if that's something that's still on the table, we certainly could go back. It's about, I'll have a really good number when I get the R&E bid in next week, but it's going to be in the $125,000 to $140,000 range.
I just think the lighting just does so much to enhance the campus and the look of the campus, particularly at night. That's just why I asked.
We are going to work on lighting that parking lot.
Yeah.
Back years ago when the band only used that parking lot, we actually took lights out because literally they were marching around light posts in the middle of the parking lot. We took those off. We're working right now with SC&G to go put lighting on both sides of the parking lot, shining onto the parking lot to make that a little safer. We can do that through a lease lighting program.
Other questions or comments on the board?
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Dr. Elkin Johnson.
Yes, just a few questions. When we went on the tour, I know we discussed adding a washer and dryer to that area. Is that something that we've added to the list as well?
They've never actually asked me for one, but if I get with David Gordon and we'll see what we can do. That's not as long as it doesn't require a lot of plumbing, replacing washers and dryers or adding washers and dryers where we already have plumbing is not too difficult to do.
And one other thing, the towel that we're missing on the floor in the canteen.
Yeah, we are retiling that canteen
Okay.
and replacing the cabinets. The previous maintenance guy out there was a really great guy, and he had taken those tiles up because they were broken, and he was going to replace them, and then he got hurt and sick and left, and it just sort of, we don't have a key to that room, so we did not realize that was in that condition, but Mr. Gooch was in there the next morning and correspondence is already going out to retile, and we're going to construct all new cabinets because the cabinets are just, it's just not anything we can do to fix them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
Did we get the priority list, or how long will it take them to get the list I asked for? 10 top priorities.
They asked for some extended time because they wanted to discuss it further with their SIC. I did not give them a deadline. If the board wants to impose a deadline, I'm sure we could do that.
I don't want to impose a deadline, but I don't want them to accuse the board of not following up with their needs, because I want to know what the needs are so that we can decide the order that we're going to take care of those needs. So I don't want to say, yes, I want a deadline, but I want an understanding that we are interested in their needs, but we need to know their top priorities as asked. So however we want to communicate that.
And we really did address their very top 2 priorities, which was the batting cages and the storage buildings. Those were number 1 and 2. And so they've got to reorder the rest of their stuff.
That was the batting cage, and what else?
Storage buildings.
And so what are we doing with the portables? I thought the portables.
There are 3 portables out there. They're using one of them this summer for the first part of the summer. We were going to move that one. They've asked us to keep it at least through the first 2 or 3 weeks of the summer. District staff are using the other 2 right now. We're going to move those as soon as we can.
The district staff are using those? So
yes,
if you move
ma'am.
those, where would the district staff go? Have you figured that out yet?
I'm sorry?
If you move those, where would the district staff go? Do we have
We
placement?
were hoping to leave those there until the new facilities open in 16.
So that second priority we can't meet?
No, the second party was storage buildings, not the portables.
Oh, storage, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll get with you to get a clear understanding, so I have.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Any other questions or comments for Jack? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Overlooked one item under the earlier part of the agenda, and that was a contractual matter referencing the property. Ms. Anderson is going to make that motion. I apologize for skipping that. Ms. Anderson?
Yeah, excuse me. I'm going to make a motion to purchase property on Trentham Road Extension. Mr. Chair, I move that this board authorize the administration to purchase a property consisting of 26.24 total acres being shown as a portion of Richland County, T as in Tom, M as in Melinda, S as in Spencer, number R as in Roger, 16912-01-01, according to the terms of the option agreement with the 3 sellers and subject to receipt of all appropriate permits. This property is located near the intersection of Trentham Road Extension and O'Neill Court Extension.
You heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Elkins Johnson. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. Okay. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Looks like it's unanimous, 7-0. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, under new business action requested, naming of the new student center, new student learning facility. Dr. Ham?
Mr. Chairman, I'm excited to be able to introduce Martha Jones, who'll be introducing the people who are describing the name and introducing the name proposed for our new student learning facility. So I'll call on Martha Jones.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
We had met with our naming committee for the new facility, and I'd like to introduce right now Lauren Lyles, who is at Ingenuity South SC, I guess, and Keisha McCoy Wilson, who was on the committee as well, and Aaron Fantone, who is a student in our district, and they are going to present to you the name that we came up with.
Also want to thank Ms. Melinda Anderson, who was also part of that committee and represented the board. So thank you, Ms. Anderson, for your service.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lauren Lyles, as Martha just introduced us, and I will soon be introducing Aaron, who will present the name to you. But I just wanted to say that we are thrilled to be here tonight, and we were thrilled to be involved on the naming committee for this new Student Learning Center. I was asked in particular because I am with Ingenuity SC, and we are a partner with Richland 2 on the Youth Career Connect grant that has recently been awarded. And we are, because of that, we're providing sort of the dot connection between the business community and Richland 2 schools of Westwood and Ridgeview. And so as part of that collaboration, I was thrilled to be invited again to be part of this naming committee. And without further ado, I will introduce Erin, who is a rising freshman at Blythewood High School, and she'll present the name to you.
On Thursday, May 22nd, a group of individuals met up at Sandhills Community Center. They worked together to come up with a name for the proposed education facility that will soon be built in Sandhills. The participants split off into 3 different groups to come up with names for the facility. The team proposed 3 different names, which inspired another round of conversation. Using elements of the first 3 names, the group agreed on the name R2I2, which means Richland 2 Institute of Innovation.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Keisha McCoy Wilson, Army School Liaison Officer at Fort Jackson. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be a part of assisting in naming the district's new state-of-the-art facility. On behalf of Fort Jackson's leadership, thank you for allowing Fort Jackson to provide input on naming this facility. We are so very honored, and we look forward to working in partnership with you all more extensively as the years progress. Now, without further ado, may we have the name.
The name is R2I2. It means Richland 2 Institute of Innovation.
Let's applaud the name, guys.
Are there any questions that you'd like to ask?
Any questions or comments?
Just excited. I got tired of calling it the Student Center.
Mr. Chair, could we have the other members that are present who was on the committee to stand, please?
Is absent. Thank you very much. On behalf of the entire board, we appreciate your work and coming up with a very innovative name, no pun intended. Thank you very much.
Is this for action, Mr. Chair?
Yes, we want to. Yes, Chair will entertain a motion on the naming.
Mr. Chair, I move that we take the report and the recommendation of the committee and name our newest career center, the Richland 2 Institute of Innovation.
Second.
Been moved by Dr. Fleming, second by Mr. Manning. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. Do we do the hand vote, Jill, or will you have it on? Okay. You can vote electronically.
Mr. Chair.
Just a second, let's get the vote tally.
Waiting for her to type it.
Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson.
That's why Mr. Chair, I would just like for the other people that we did not introduce what part they played in the naming of the schools to be, Martha, you can introduce them.
This is Shirley Ballard. She is the SIC Foundation President at Richland Northeast High School. Aaron Vanto, who is a student at Muller Road but will now be a freshman at Blythewood High School. Ray Vanto, who is a member of the Richland 2 family. Mary Paige Boyce, who is the CAPE coordinator for the school district. Ashley Brinkley, who works with me in the community. Kim Sizemore, who is a parent at Blythewood High School, was a part of the committee as well, but she had to leave a little early before we got to the hashing out of the name. And but it was a very good group, and we actually worked together, came up with 3 names, and then put those names up and decided we would rework that a little bit. So it was about a 2-hour process and a lot of
also had a member from Midlands Tech, a representative.
Thank you.
I just wanted the public to know that we had a wide variety of input. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the proposed revision to policy CF, school building administration. Dr. Ham.
We're asking the board for action on this item, and this policy deals with the assignment of personnel to administrative positions, and there is a clarification, modification to the policy that stipulates that this superintendent will make recommendations to the board, and the board will vote on candidates to fill principal vacancies and district administrative vacancies at the executive director level or above.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move first reading. We just have to have one reading of this.
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we accept this change.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Ms. Anderson, second by Dr. Elkins Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote.
Did yours come up? Yes. And that's up.
That motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, new business, no action requested. A report on summer professional development preview. I think everyone has a copy of that document in front of them. Dr. Ham?
Mrs. Millette will be making a report on that item.
Actually, Nancy Gregory is going to be doing the
Thank
report. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We have a preview for you on summer professional learning. You have a listing of everything that we are offering for our staff members in the district this summer. And we have an exciting summer planned. And if you'll look, we've chosen to highlight just a few, starting with the South Carolina Midland Summit that will be taking place over the next few days. In fact, Donna Toiber is going to come forward to give you a little preview about the summit.
Good evening. It's great to be here to share with you the excitement that we feel for getting ready for the South Carolina Midland Summit. The summit starts in the morning at 8:30 with our first keynote address. So we've been busily getting ready today, and we're really excited. This year we have over 20 vendors who will be on site. Most of them are vendors that we have been working very closely with, so we really appreciate their support. We have closing in on about 650 participants, so this will be our largest summit ever, and we have about 130 different unique sessions being offered with many presenters. We've got keynote presenters coming from around the United States, and we're just really excited about everything. We have about 60% of our participants are from Richland too, so we have a great turnout, and it's higher than last year, and over 200 people who will be from outside of Richland too, and many of them are from adjoining states, 5 or 6 different southeastern states. So we're very excited about it, and we hope to see you there. And we've got a great 2 days to kick the summer off, and our students and teachers will benefit from having access to these great resources. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Also, we wanted to highlight we're continuing with our school implementation teams with Common Core boot camps later this month. And we have a Summer Institute planned for July 8th through 10th with over 135 sessions for teachers focusing on Common Core implementation, best practice, and technology integration. And then we've also chosen to highlight new to 2. which is exciting to have our newest colleagues come in and prepare them for the opening of schools. So those are just a few of the things that we've chosen to highlight. Moving on to our next slide, we also wanted to give you a little preview of what's going on this summer for our students. And on your way to the summit tomorrow, we'd love to invite you to go to Windsor Elementary to see the Elementary Summer Reading Camp. This is the camp that is hosted through the State Department of Education, and it's for those students that are substantially not demonstrating reading proficiency by the end of 3rd grade. And we have a great group of students at Windsor, and tomorrow from 9:15 to 11, they will be selecting books. They each get to select 8 books to add to their personal library. So it will be fun. We'd love to have you stop by Windsor tomorrow in the Media Center. Something new will be Step Up to 6th grade with our transition task force and also looking at student transiency. We wanted to level the playing field for all students, and we found that we were offering some transition camps for just some students, not for all students. So beginning this year on August the 19th, we will have something like Fresh Start for all rising 6th graders to help them transition to middle school. And you'll probably notice a trend in the camps and programs that we're offering. There are lots of CATE camps where we're emphasizing the math, the science, the technology, engineering. From the Invention Camp at North Spring to Camp Biz at Dent. Spring Valley is having an engineering camp for middle school girls to the fire camp at Westwood High School. So we have a fun summer, exciting summer, over 110 opportunities for our students this summer. Are there any questions?
Questions or comments from the board?
How do you guys advertise for the camps for students?
The camps are primarily advertised through the school locations.
Okay. I think it would be good to advertise. I mean, my daughter's actually attending camps in other districts. I wasn't aware of the opportunities here within our own district. So we might want to find ways to expand that offerings. And parents, make those decisions fairly early. So the earlier the better. I know we fill our summers up, fairly early, so we know we have those opportunities.
Great suggestion. We'll talk to them.
Yeah, because I would love to take advantage of some of those.
Other questions, comments on the board?
I just have a comment. I'm really proud to hear the rising 6th graders, like the rising 9th graders. I think that's a unique idea, and it will certainly, I hope and pray, will alleviate some of the stressors that our 6th graders are experiencing over the summer.
Other questions or comments from the board?
Just one question.
Yes, Dr. Yelka Johnson.
For the CATE camps, what does that entail?
The CATE camps, there is a description for you in the listing. They vary from the Invention Camp that is being held at North Springs, and it is listed that they will participate in math inductees from the National Inventors Hall of Fame has created the curriculum for that camp, which will focus on creativity, innovation, and the spirit of creative problem solving through invention. And it has been coordinated through CATE. At Dent Middle School, the Camp Biz is designed with entrepreneurship in mind, where kids will be working on business plans. And then at Spring Valley, the camp will focus on engineering for girls, and in your description it tells you that it's designed to increase non-traditional completion of CAPE programs by focusing on middle school girls interested in engineering. It will utilize the summer curriculum sponsored by Project Lead the Way entitled Gateway Academy, and again to prepare them for the rigors of science, technology, engineering, and math classes. And then at Westwood High School, They're going to focus on the fire EMT field, and the camp will be taught by Westwood High School's fire instructor, and they're going to actually attend the South Carolina Firefighters Convention, which will be a fun activity for them to do. So we'd love for you to stop by any of these activities going on in our schools, or please join us for professional learning this summer. We'd love to have you.
Other questions or comments from the board? The camp is at Denton. It's been, we've done that for a while, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
I'm familiar with that one. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, under new business, is our 2014 Student Summer Programs Report.
That's what she just.
Oh, okay, I apologize.
She did too.
She did too, okay, while she was here, thank you. Thought it sounded familiar. Next on our agenda would be items for our next board meeting, which is currently scheduled for Longleaf Middle on June 24th. Dr. Ham?
We'll have special recognitions, a faculty focus that'll cover some of this summer staff development that you just heard about. We'll have a budget update, a report on Act 155 compliance. Act 155 is the act that lets people who didn't receive their high school diplomas because of the exit exam. We'll have a report on how we're going to comply with that. And those folks do have to petition the board, so that'll include action on your part. And we'll have a discussion of elementary 20, we hope, and an end of school year report.
Any other items the board would like to add to the next agenda or a future agenda? Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the second part of our public participation. No one signed up for it. However, if there's anyone in the audience who would like to come and address the board, you can do so at this time. Please come up to the mic, if you will, and state your name, sir.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Harrell, parent of the district. I guess one of the questions I have is, which school is getting artificial turf for $650,000? And the other is access to the fields. I have a school that's a half mile from my house, another one that's probably 3 miles away, and we're not allowed to play on it due to the fact that the gates are locked. There's no do not trespass signs, and I'm talking just the open field so the kids can get out, play basketball or soccer or baseball, whatever, on the fields that their parents are paying for. And I know that there's a concern about vagrancy, or what's the other word?
Liability.
Liability, also people destroying the property. But as a taxpayer, I would love to take my son to go up and walk on the tracks, work out on the football fields, play baseball, whatever, or get our scouts together where we can go to these facilities that are available and we don't have to compete with the schedules at the residential parks of North Springs, Polo Road, and things like that, where they have numerous activities that are going on, and it's hard for us to schedule our events when, you know, there's a school within probably a half mile of the facilities that we could use easily. So if you could take in consideration of the gates being open and access to the fields, and I think the communities will enjoy it as well, because a lot of parents are paying money to join the Y, and there's a track right out their back door that they're not allowed to use because there are no trespassing signs and things of that nature.
Thank you very much. We will make sure that the administration looks into that, and if you would give Ms. Council right there your address, we'll make, okay, you got that, all right. We'll make sure, okay, we'll make sure we get a response to you. Very valid issue you've raised tonight, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Board.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the audience who would like to address the board at this time? Seeing none, thank you very much for that. At this time, we'll entertain board and superintendent comments. I'll start with Dr. Elkins Johnson.
No comments, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elkins Johnson. Ms. Brill.
I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed the graduations this year. As you all know, it's the highlight of our year. It's very special, and I know a lot of folks work really hard to make sure the kids meet the requirements and have the opportunity to graduate on time, and everyone did an excellent job. Thank you to all principals and staff members that made this all happen. Great report by Nancy Gregory. Love hearing about professional development and student summer programs. Keep it up. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Brill. Ms. Spector?
No comments.
Thank you, Ms. Spector. Ms. Manning?
No comment.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Dr. Fleming? No comments, Lloyd. Thank you, Dr. Fleming. Ms. Anderson?
I'd just like to say kudos to Susan Brill's comments, and once again, thank the naming committee. I thought that was an excellent committee. It just went so smooth, one of the smoothest committees that I've been on. So I just want to thank all of you for participating and taking the time out to come tonight, and thank the board for accepting their recommendation.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Dr. Ham?
Well, I do want to recognize our graduates, and it was wonderful to get to participate in 8 graduations. Also, yesterday we had sort of our end-of-year in-service with our school administrators, and that was a wonderful time to celebrate the accomplishments of the year, give people some challenges to be thinking about over the summer. But I do want to thank all of the people who are responsible for making for a successful school year publicly. Our school administrators do a great job. I want to thank the board for the appreciation dinner that you had before the last board meeting. Everybody enjoys that, so we're very grateful to you as well for doing that for us. I also want to mention that we have a number of our junior ROTC cadets who will be at Fort Jackson for a week for a summer camp, and that's not usually the fun summer camp we think about. They're going to be physically and mentally challenged all week long, but we're very grateful to Fort Jackson for giving our students that wonderful learning opportunity. We know they'll be learning leadership and discipline and self-confidence, so we're very grateful to the wonderful partnerships we have with the Fort, and I wish everyone a happy and safe summer.
Thank you, Dr. Ham. I'd like to echo the comments that have been made by my fellow board members, and thank everyone for coming tonight and for your presence and your hard work this past school year and making this yet again another successful year in Richland School District 2. I want to thank my fellow board members for your dedication and your passion that you demonstrate on a regular basis for this school district. Thank you very much. Chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.